Hi, my name is John Griffiths. I'm the electrical engineer at CONTECH-CA. So I wanted to put together this series of short videos to talk about providing temporary generators for healthcare projects, particularly in California, that are under the jurisdiction of the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, OSHPD. So a couple of years ago, recognizing the need to maintain two sources of power at any one time in a hospital during electrical work or any work that requires taking out existing generator or electrical system. The OSHPD put together this CAN, Code Application Notice 2-108. This is from 2013, but it's still current. I understand it will be updated. So I'm just going to quickly run through some of the key components and share some of my lessons learned from designing, working, and closing out these types of projects. So one of the important things to recognize is when you read this, if there's a question, the current codes apply. This really only gives exceptions. So if you do have any questions, that's sort of a way to read it. Okay, so this is general information, referring. So California, again, this is based on California. So, I'm an electrical engineer. I'm going to skip over the requirements for chillers. However, if you are delivering a temporary generator, you do need to be aware of the plumbing CFC requirements. So, okay, is interpretation, talking about some of the things I mentioned. So one of the really important things is this chart, 7, 30 day, and 180 day. So this talks about let's just run through these criteria. So it says temporary equipment, short-term equipment, maybe on a mobile truck, block tires, and then it says seismic, it's not required to be seismically anchored. Again, some of these things are all common sense. Place temporary equipment, you need to verify that it's not going to sink, or you put it on dirt, and it's good to review with a structural engineer. And then access, there's no access, because again they recognize if you're doing 7-day, there's probably an emergency. Automatic shut off, it said is not required, and then outdoor intakes. Again, some of these are, I hate to say common sense, but it refers to the mechanical code. So, and again, the next, if you follow this down, this applies to chillers. So I'm going to stay talking about generators. So then we get to 30 days. So this one may be an emergency, or just you're replacing a circuit breaker that's planned. It would take a couple of hours. You need to 7 days to set it up, do the work, and then take it down. So 30 day could be for more involved switchgear replacement or prolonged cutover. So let's go through that. So we'd look at midterm be still. You just need to be the wheels blocked, chalked, skid mounted. Again, if you do need to provide protection, K rails or barriers, and again, a seismic event, you might want to tie that down, as we talked in here. Seismic design for full supports and attachments are not required. Just because it says it's not, the code's a minimum. And placement again talks about making sure it's substantially, a structural engineer has substantiated where you're locating it. And then we go to the clearances, checking the clearances. Again, much the same as we do locating any other equipment. Automatic shut-off, provide that, and then the connection with the fire alarm. So outdoor air intakes. So I guess where I read it, the 7 and 30 day are fairly similar, but where it gets much more expensive to design and execute is when you get to the long term. So the reason that is the temporary equipment shall be anchored, and this is basically in accordance with the building code. So this could be very involved and could be similar to a full design. A side note to add is that if you have a temporary generator, usually are on a trailer, that's very high off the ground, so that has some large seismic forces. So if you are doing that, either you need to recognize that you're going to have to anchor something that's 15 feet in the air with a high center of gravity, or have one that can be sat on the ground, which will significantly reduce the amount of anchors you need. So that's probably the biggest thing take away from this. And in prior to placing, a lot of these things are the same. One thing that's not called out here, and I'll just touch on, is that a generator requires under NFPA 110 level 1, you have to have the remote monitoring panel. That's not explicitly called out here, but certainly in a short day, because you either have to hardwire it or have a fire watch or an interim fireless safety measure to monitor the generator. I know it's OSHPD's expectation that 30-day or 180-day that they would either hardwire to a manned location, be that the PBX or the engineer's office. So there are some products that are becoming available wireless, but they're not readily available, and they can be expensive for the generator manufacturers to put together. So with that, I'm going to pause, and I'll upload this video, and I'll do some other ones with more detail. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through our website or give me a call.